Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. Probably the most excited I've been to film an episode. We're gonna be setting up this beautiful brand new Reptile One enclosure for my brand new lizard. Look at that. Little 4-month-old hatchling lace monitor. Isn't he absolutely adorable? He's just gorgeous. I was actually lined up to get one of these right at the start of the year, a younger one. But I just had some stuff come up and I wasn't ready to get one at the time. But now we are. This guy was one of the last ones of his clutch mates and we're lucky enough to get our hands on him, and we're gonna treat this guy. It's a fantastic home, aren't we, bud? So we've got this brand new huge 1200 by 600 by 1200 enclosure behind me. So we're gonna set that up from scratch. Hopefully it's not like a flat pack from IKEA. Hopefully it's not a pain in the butt. But we'll put that together and then we'll work out how to decorate it from there. I've got a few ideas in my head, but this is gonna be a big enclosure. So I think we'll have to work around, play with it and change some things as we go and work out what suits this guy best. Now, obviously you can see this guy's 4 months old and he's already this size. Look at the length of that tail. It's looking like he's gonna be a male. So this guy is gonna be a lizard that can grow up to 6 or 7 feet long. And this enclosure obviously isn't gonna last him too long. He'll probably outgrow this in a year or two, which then he'll have the pleasure of moving outside into a pit or an aviary. And then from there, it also gives me an excuse to get a new animal to put in this enclosure once it's set up. So we can't have empty enclosures, can we? Now also, you'll see behind me, I've got to shift these enclosures around. The sand monitor's getting shifted from up there, coming down here, and then this brand new enclosure's going on top. I'm filming a sand monitor video at the same time I'm filming this little lacy video. During this video, you'll probably see these enclosures behind me, chop and change, and you'll see the sandy. So you get to see a couple of monitors in this video. Alrighty, let's rip this packaging open, get stuck into it. I'll chuck this guy back in a spare enclosure for now, and yeah, let's make him a home. Alrighty, let's get stuck into it. So I need to make this before I can finish setting up the sand monitor enclosure, because this is going on top and I'm worried it's actually gonna hit the roof. Work out if I need to move this one down lower before this one goes on top. It's a debacle. Comes very nicely packed and wrapped. Look at that, you got bubble wrap. Oh, this is sexy, brand new enclosure. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, comes with a lock. We got all our little grommets. Send our cables through, air vents with a frilly on it. All our fixings, and then obviously our panels. Oh, this is gonna look good. Look at that finish. Nice gloss black. That is beautiful. Better than these glass ones I've got, which I line with timber to keep the heat in. It is good for screwing stuff into and hanging stuff up. I will not be screwing into this one. And we won't be doing a permanent foam background either, because like I said, this guy's gonna grow out of this enclosure in a year. So another species will be going in. Here's our top piece, obviously. Super fine mesh. And this is where our glands are gonna go, which are gonna have our light bulbs in. It looks a little bit scratched at the moment, but there's just a plastic cover, so once that peels off, it'll be fine. The bottom piece, this is not something I'll be utilizing, but this piece is for people who keep snakes and use heat mats. I mean, I guess you could use a heat mat for a lizard if you really wanted to. That's what this piece is for. So built-in glass, put your heat mat underneath and it just heats up that area for your reptile. Our side panels. After a lot of fiddling around, we got Slash's enclosure in place. We've got a blank space up here. Everything's been moved down. Slash's nearly on the floor. So we've got all the room for the lace monitor to go in up there. Let's start decorating and get Slash in for the night. Got a little habitat set back up. All the natural timbers, plants, everything we'll try to do with the lace monitor enclosure as well. She's just sitting pretty, soaking up that morning heat. All right, bear with me. These instructions are absolutely horrendous, but we're gonna have a crack at putting this together. We got these little threaded inserts, which seems like we're gonna put the threaded end of this bolt. Got the Phillips head on the other end, and then on the piece that attaches to this piece is going to have, just like an IKEA or a flat pack thing, is gonna have this little doowacky, which you turn that, it'll grab the top of that bolt and it'll lock everything into place. So these two back panels just slide together. There's 3 timbered dowels in the middle, just slip straight in. Alright, so it's a little bit tricky to line them all up, but we got there. Now we should be able to tighten this up and it'll pull it together. All these side and front panels are all locked in now. I'm just gonna have to try and lift it up, and then we're gonna have a whole heap to do up on the back. And it's gonna be nice and sturdy. I'll put the glass panels in later, but I'll have to get someone to help me lift this up onto here once I go and get a melamine panel to lay on there. Yeah, how good does it look? It's huge. Could set me up in there and I'd be happy, I reckon. This thing is actually gigantic. Oh my God. I'm gonna love this thing so much, I'm gonna have to buy more. It is beautiful. Voila. Now the only issue I'm having is just how everything's locked up. I've got like a 2 mil gap here. You can see the light coming through the whole way through the middle. Not sure why that's like that. I mean, if you loosened everything up and wiggled it around, you could probably get it to close, but I don't know, that seems like a shit fight. When I go to Bunnings to get that melamine sheet, I'll just grab some black silicone and we'll just put it all through here, just so when I spray water in or put mulch in or some moist substrate, it just doesn't seep down and get into the timber and start moving and bowing and all that. And I can also chuck a bit of black silicone through there just to try and cover up that hole. I'm gonna run down there now, so I'll see you when I get back. Alrighty, enclosure's done, slash is finished. She's already made an absolute mess of the joint. You can watch her video and you'll see it all nice and smick and clean and green. We'll chuck some more greenery in there for her anyway, but you made a mess, girly. But now, got some brand new Reptile One stuff, some Get Your Pet Right stuff, and we're gonna get the lighting sorted. So let's crack on with that. So first off, first thing to get into place, we've got our Reptile One heat lamp. I've got a 150 watt fitting. Due to the size of this enclosure, I'll probably put a 120 watt lamp in, just a little bit bigger, a little bit more heat rather than the hundreds I normally use on the 600 highs. This is double the height, so we'll crank up the heat a little bit more. Hopefully that'll heat it up a bit better. And this being a completely timber enclosure rather than the glass below, it's gonna hold that heat better. So what we're gonna do with this, let's open her up. So there we are. As you just saw on Slash's enclosure, and if you've watched Spyro, the Bearded Dragons video, I normally keep the reflectors on. It's just great. It projects all that light and heat, reflects off and goes down exactly where you want it. But I've even had Slash sometimes hanging off here to climb up and sit on that. But this one being a lace monitor, it wants nothing more to climb, especially being a juvenile, wants nothing more to climb, get as high as possible. So my worry is if I put this reflector on, wherever I put the basking spot, it's gonna be able to stretch up, climb on, potentially lay on here, lay up around there and potentially burn itself. I'm thinking I'm gonna take the reflector off, just have the fitting and the heat lamp and we can see how that goes. So these are incredibly simple. All you do, undo your little grommet at the top. That drops down. Hold the inside of the fitting and the outside. That drops down. Don't drop it because they've smashed. I know from experience. And then you're left with your 2 little cables, so you just need a tiny little screwdriver and just put a mark on which one's active, which one's neutral. You don't want to switch them up, and potentially when you're undoing the lamp later on, you might get your finger on the neutral bit and give yourself a zap. So just make sure you do put them in the right way. Once we do that, it's off, we put it back together, simple as that. The other thing I had to do with this enclosure, I had to run back to Kellyville Pets because I realised it didn't come with the light, is it comes with quite large holes up the top. So there's no way I was able to mount that light in the enclosure. I must say, some people do put their lights on top, but I like to have it inside because that mesh, it does soak up. It takes a lot of that heat away. It can also bounce back and heat up the bulb. Doesn't last as long, blah, blah, blah. I prefer to have it in, get most of the heat and the light on the animal, utilize it as best as possible. And yes, that is a big hole. So I had to go and get this fella. So it's just a spare part from Reptile One. Similar to what comes with the tank, but it's got an extra little grommet, spacer, washer, whatever you want to call it, which is going to hold our ceramic lamp holder in place. A little adapter here, it's going to come like this. You're going to want to unscrew that lock ring, that's for later. And then we're going to have this little top hat looking thing. You want the lower bit down the bottom, and we've got a little C-clip on the inside. Whoop, there it is. And that's what's going to hold our ceramic fitting in place. You've pulled apart your light fitting. You got this little fella now. Push him up through there, like so. Once that's sitting in there, we're gonna wanna put our cable back in. Once your cable's screwed back in, just ceramic lid, back. I don't even need to be fiddling with that. So leave that to the side. Just have your C-clip, your ceramic fitting. Get our little locker back down. There we are, easy as that. How about I bring you into here? We'll sit our lock ring through the hole first, and let's pull this up. Now we want our little top hat. Can now see our fittings in place. Hole's nice and blocked. We went from that to this. It's not moving. And then for extra safety, you got 3 little grub screws, which we're just gonna punch through the top there, and it's not gonna move ever. And as our lace monitor gets bigger, we can just drill another 70mm hole there, get another one of these, another light fitting, bang, there, longer basking spot. Next off to go in, we have our UVB fittings. These are essential for every reptile that you keep. Hear that? Every reptile. Essential for getting vitamin D into our reptiles, and absolutely essential for bone growth and development. There's no reason why anyone shouldn't be supplying their reptiles with UV. The science is there. Even if they bask under it for an hour or 2 each day, it's going to benefit the animal. At the end of the day, we want to replicate what's outside, inside, and this is a part of it. This is a part of their habitat. And there we are. What do we got? About a 3-foot fitting. Reptile One T5 reflector. Thought I didn't get cables for a minute. There we are. And I have gone with, this is just what Kellyville Pets sell. T5 high output, 39 watt, get your pet right lamp, 8000K sunlight, 14% UVB, 30% UVA, and 56% visible light. Gonna be perfect. I've gotten a strong lamp for this. Just because it is such a tall enclosure, I'll also mount it on the inside. Some people like to mount them on top. I like to mount everything in the inside. Especially given the fact it is such a tall enclosure, it should be able to send our rays all the way down to the bottom so the animal can utilize the sun wherever it is in the enclosure. If it doesn't want it, it's gonna have hides, trees, leaves, anything to get away from it. When it wants it, it comes out, uses it, sweet. Now normally these come with mounting brackets. All right, so I opened another box of the UVBs because I bought a couple. They don't come with mounting brackets. Little mounting brackets that just clip there over the top, and they just sit there. What am I meant to do? Wear it as a hat? I can't mount it in there. I've been to Kellyville Pets, so it turns out these Reptile One UVB fittings, they do come with the brackets. However, when I bought my batch a few months ago, it looks like maybe that batch they were left out. But Kellyville Pets were good enough to hook me up with a whole heap of our little brackets. So you can see our little brackets here, They're just little U-shaped brackets. Put a screw up into the top of our enclosure. Simple as that. Screw that in, light clips in, away we go. So there is our lighting setup, not including our UVB. Got our heat lamp here. So our basking spot will be roughly about here. Then we have UVB lamp straight across diagonal. By the time this beam shoots out, it's gonna be directly on the basking spot there. So whenever this lizard's basking, it's gonna be soaking up that UV, and it's on the angle, so it should be servicing most of this enclosure. Now the only other thing that we gotta do with our lighting situation, I've got an LED here just to simulate more daylight. Don't mind the mess. This one's normally on slash. I'm not sure if I'll get another one of those like I normally am on slash, or if I just get maybe 2 LED downlights, pop a downlight there, pop a downlight there. But once we get everything running, we can work it out and see what looks best. Now that our lighting's sorted, I've just blocked up all our holes. Put our vents in, vent, vent, vent. So it comes with 3 vents, and then the 4th one's actually another cable gland. I didn't like having that there, to be honest. It came undone really easily. Yeah, that sort of stresses me out if someone, I mean, it's not gonna happen, but if somehow that popped off. So what I did, I just filled it up with black silicone, screwed it in. Now that doesn't move at all. So that's completely safe. Alrighty, so now, this is a big black box. It isn't super appealing. I don't want to do a permanent background, but I want to put a background in that I can use for this particular animal. So I've just run down to Bunnings. I've bought some form ply, and I'm sort of going to cut it in this sort of shape, sort of out like that, back there, and across there. This bit's just going to be for support, so my background doesn't fall over. And then all along here, I'm going to screw in branches and sticks that I'll cut off outside, up to about this height. High enough so he can climb up, utilize it, and hopefully doesn't tempt him to climb up there. He'll do it anyway, but that'll give us some sort of background like he's actually out in the bush. And then we can shove some gum leaves in throughout it and make it look like a real bushy background. I want to make sort of like a platform jungle Jimmy thing, which I'm going to screw to another piece of ply, which will be in this section. Once that's in, we cover it all over with the substrate. You won't even know it's there. We'll just have our beautiful background, hopefully beautiful, might look like shit, our basking platform, and then we can string other branches, leaves. I've got hollow logs which I want to suspend. We can do that all throughout the enclosure. Let's go find some logs and sticks, start cutting them up outside, and waiting for the old boy to drop over a jigsaw to cut that to shape, but we can probably screw the logs on in the meantime. All right, let's go. Going to be a bastard of a job. We're in action now. Just grabbed the jigsaw off the old boy. Got this marked out. My arm was dying trying to reach around the entire timber. So we'll cut that out, chuck them in the enclosure, give a test fit, eh? And then we can continue, get the rest of the logs in. It's looking all right. There's our shape, so there's our balancing bit, so it can't fall forward. It's obviously not going to fall backwards because it's going to be up against the wall, the back wall of the enclosure. So it should be looking the goods. It looks like it can't come forward at all. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Another 6 or 7 pieces to go, and we can chuck him in. And done. not too shabby. I reckon that's going to look all right in the enclosure. I made this bit lower where the heat lamp's going to be, just so it can't jump, or hopefully can't jump from there onto the heat lamp. Let's go chuck it in and see how it looks, eh? This weighs an absolute ton. Woo. Looking all right, I reckon. So you can see I just dropped it down lower here, just so he doesn't have access to jump up and grab onto that heat lamp. Well, I don't know if I'm going to give him a platform or just a series of branches that'll come up on a diagonal underneath. Probably leaning towards a bit of a diagonal, to be honest, just a bit more natural. Fully usable background. If he wants to hide, he'll be able to scoot between all these, hide behind, hold on in front, climb. I can attach more logs and sticks to do different angles. I can attach hollow logs. It's just a world of opportunity using this. I'm gonna get a whole heap of gum leaves, put these all throughout there, and it'll look like it's in the wild. But yeah, pretty darn stoked with that. So the next thing I'm thinking, I need to create my basking spot. And then once I have that bit set up, I'll work around it, put my plants in, put hollow logs, hides, all that around that. So what I'm thinking is I've got this piece here. I want to put this something like this across the middle there. Underneath, I'll screw another log like this so it looks natural. A log screwed to the underneath at that height, and then another one over here at whatever height that needs to be. Obviously, we'll mount that again to some form ply. Sit that in, and then we can work around that. We're getting pretty close to being finished. Let's get started on that. This will go something like that, at whatever angle suits. Then we just need to make the other side. Look at this, I'm too busy working. Out. Out. Come on. Come on, Baby Bell. Baby Bell, you too, come on. Come on. Out, please. Baby Bell, out. Out. Come on. Out. Out. Good girls. All right, we'll take this little setup in, make sure it's the right height and everything, then we can screw it together. That's pretty much spot on, I think. So we've got our basking spot there. About the same gap as what Slash has up to hers, about, I don't know, 300 gap. That should give the right temps or close to, and we can adjust it if it's not. Then as the animal gets bigger, we can put another heat lamp there. She'll have that whole section for a full body heater. But right now, that's gonna give her the perfect spot about there to heat up nice and hot. If she doesn't want to be that hot, she can lay up against here on the back, where she's also going to be grabbing that heat. I'm pretty happy with that. I'll try to screw it together and hopefully it doesn't move. Alrighty, our main basking spot, done. Yeah, I think the next thing to do is going to be substrate. I think I'm too keen. I want to chuck the Lacey on the basking spot, see if she likes it. I cannot wait to get her in here. She's gonna be exploring, moving around. It's just gonna be absolutely phenomenal to watch. Look at that. She's gonna be a troublemaker. There you go. Found the heat source quick enough. We're looking good. Our main components are done. Let's go get some substrate. We're going to use a mixture of mulch and sand. We can whack that in. Once that's in, we got the right levels, we'll start chucking our hollow logs in, our hides, our plants, and start decorating, and then we can get our little fella in there today. I'll see you outside. Unlike our sand monitor, watch out girls. Unlike our sand monitor, where I use mostly sand mixed with the mulch, for the lace monitor, I'm going to use predominantly mulch. So we're going to mix in our eucalyptus mulch with some sand. Hopefully I've got enough sand. I've got another bag of mulch, so that'll be all good. We'll mix that up, see what sort of texture we're getting. When it's what we like, we can chuck it in. It's not food, girls. There's sand all over you now. Sand all over you, silly girl. Something like this should do all right. Plenty of soil, a bit of sand to make it a bit more firm, hold its shape a bit better. This will probably fill up half the enclosure, and then I'll have to make up a little bit more, but yeah, pretty happy with this. There we are, looking pretty Mickey Mouse if I say so myself. It's looking a bit more sandy, but what do you do? That's okay. Doesn't really matter at all. The mulch is in there. Just gonna be able to dig, make her little hides, her little burrows in that. I absolutely love how, I don't know if you call this a pelmet at the front. I love how deep that is. It's like 150 to 200 deep. So you can really pack in a whole lot of substrate, and you can get it nice and deep and thick, and they can bury it, dig, and do everything that they would in the wild. So yeah, another fantastic thing about this enclosure. Now we start decorating, hey? First I might chuck in a water bowl. With Slash, I normally just give her a spray every now and again. I don't actively have a water bowl in there. Sometimes I put a water bowl in, but she just absolutely fills it with sand. With the Lacey, I'll chuck a water bowl in. I'll see how much she uses it, how much of a mess she makes with it, and see if that's something we leave in there. I'll probably just tuck it down in one of these front corners to hide it, to be honest. Maybe not on the hot side, more likely to just evaporate. I might try and tuck it down here. But a nice big water bowl for this lizard. Big enough for it to even have a soak in for the next few weeks before it's gigantic. Like I was saying, it's below that pelmet. It's not an eyesore or anything like that. Hopefully she utilises it and doesn't make a mess. I have an array of hides and logs and things I want to try and utilise here. I also need to work out the best way to do everything. I think I might put our hides into place first. I've got this one. I might use that one. I've got one more outside which I'll grab. She likes to be sort of nice and tight in there, so they might be the two. We'll cover them over, bury them nice and deep so they're hidden. I think I'm going to lay out our hides like this. There's a nice big one here and a smaller one there. She's been using this in her temporary enclosure. She's obsessed with this one. She gets in nice and tight, so I'll bury that on the cool side. That gives her a cool side hide, and this one on the warm side gives her a warm side hide. That should be perfect. This one's a brilliant color actually. It blends in perfectly with the substrate, sort of makes it disappear. We want to make sure there's a lot of substrate in underneath the hide. That way she can move it around, get her little indent in there and make her feel nice, safe and secure. There's two of our main hides. They're going to be our only plastic fake things. Everything else that's going in is going to be real. For this animal, being a young age, lace monitor, very canopy dwelling animal at this age, I think best thing to do is just going to be to absolutely clutter this thing. A lot to hide, a lot of places to hide behind things, branches, sticks, hollows, like it would out in the wild. I always stress myself out with this part because there's so many different options of things you can do. This is a beautiful hollow log I found. I'm sort of tempted to put this right at the front as another way to the basking spot as well. That would be another hide on the hot side, to be honest. Like I said, it adds a bit of depth to the enclosure. We've got something right at the front rather than everything at the back. All these hides and hollows, cracks in the timber is going to be other places for our woodies and our crickets to go and hide, to breed, to multiply. And that's going to give our lace monitor the opportunity to go and forage through this like she would in the wild, sticking her tongue in all the little gaps, in all the hollows, smelling out those bugs, smelling out those insects, hunting down her prey exactly like she would in the wild. Nothing better. Really struggling to find a spot for this because I really wanted to utilise it standing up. Look cool on an angle like that. Might go like that. If I go that way, I can still put a little plant in the front. The lizard can utilise that more. It can climb up the back, come out the front. That might be the way to go, I think. Right, now I want some height as well. I want some height. It's a climbing animal. We've got things to climb, but this is looking very plain. I want something up here. Otherwise this is all useless space. I bought this big enclosure, I need to use it. If I can get something to maybe go from here down to the basking spot, that would be fantastic. That gives pretty much all this use. You've just got a bit of empty space there. I think I'm happy now with climbing material and everything like that. I found an old stump outside, which I might try and fit in here. It looks pretty cool. And then we'll plant around it. And then once our plants are in, we can see if there's anything else we want to chuck around our plants. So I do want the floor space a bit more cluttered. So here's the old stump I found out in the paddock. How cool is that? If I put this in like this, there's going to be another natural piece for all the bugs to go in, hide in, live in. And look at how it's going to sit up. All the gaps, all the nooks and crannies underneath. Technically, it could be another hidey hole if you'd like to use it as one. There we go, eh? That looks all right if I say so myself. Time for the greenery. So we'll go outside, I'll get some plants out of the paddock. If you've watched Slash's video, you'll see how I get those. We'll plant those out. We'll also get some gum leaves. I want to shove some gum leaves all in the backdrop. Just make it real green, make it nice and natural. So normally I go and, sand on the camera. Normally I go and use my mattock and I pick out bits of that plant over there. But I was actually down this side of the paddock the other day. It's a similar plant, but it's a different species. And it come out of the ground quite easily in one piece, and it looked really cool. So it's something I can probably plant straight into the enclosure. I already pulled one out ready to go, and then I thought, oh crap, I've ruined it now. So I tried to plant it back in. But I've got no idea where I did that. So you can see here all these little tufts of grasses. All different little species growing, which are perfect for it. I think this is the one I pulled out. Yeah, and I tried to plant it back in the ground. Seems like it's done okay actually, it's just re-rooted. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful. So we'll try and get a couple of them. I need another one that's sort of like, I can clump it up and pull it out. This one might be a bit thick. Easy as that, eh? I'll get a couple more, redo Slash's ones. There we are. 1, 2, 3, we'll go test fit these and we can get more if need be. This is looking phenomenal, if I say so myself. This looks fantastic. I'm over the moon. How cool is that? All I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna put some more substrate around the plants, so hopefully they live a little longer. And then I'll go pick some gum leaves, shove those in there, and then our little friend's ready to go in. And he's gonna be absolutely over the moon. There we go. This is beyond stunning, guys. I am over the moon with this. I hope our little ace monitor is going to be just as happy with this as I am. I mean, I'd live in there. Shrink me down. Bugger it. Don't shrink me down. I'll live in there that size. I'll bask under there all day. Woohoo! I also chucked some new plants down in Slash's enclosure. You can, oh, she's not now, but she was sussing them out, but I distracted her. But just green hers up a bit because she trashes it immediately. Don't you, girly? I honestly cannot get over this, guys. I love it. I hope you guys love it as much as I do. I'm stoked. Let's get our lace on us. Let's see if he likes it as much as we do. 2 seconds. Yeah. He's eager. Didn't even get a chance to put him in. I've just been watching him for the past 20 minutes and oh, it is awesome. Just the way he's exploring this enclosure. He'll go for an adventure, go up through here. He's gone through this hollow log multiple times already, comes out down the bottom. Haven't seen him go into this one, but I bet once a few bugs go in, he will. It just really goes to show, I mean, it's only 20 minutes, but a lace monitor of this size, they're just so arboreal. They love to live up in the canopy. They don't touch the ground all that often. He's only come down once for a quick walk and then shot straight back up the top where he feels safer, he's away from predators. So I'll chuck the doors on. They should go in fairly easy. And then what I might do, I might chuck a whole heap of crickets in and see if he's hungry, see if they start moving around. And then I'll have to get my hands on some woodies. The woodies are the best. They get into all these tiny cracks and crevices, and they're the ones that they really have to hunt. The crickets sort of just disperse and go all over the joint. There he is in there, you can see, because I'm hassling him. He's hanging onto the back of that. He's hanging onto the back there. You can barely even see that mottled patterning and coloration. The shadows the canopy casts through the forests, through the bush. Those stripes, that lace patterning on these lizards just makes their camouflage so effective. There we are, glass is in. I wish I didn't have to have the glass on, but it's in, it's safe, he's safe, and we're done, I think. We've got him home, he's set up. He's just hiding from me at the moment. I'm gonna wait till he's back out basking, and then I'll chuck a whole heap of crickets in and we'll try and get him hunting. Probably tomorrow, I'll thaw out some quails or some rats and we can get him having a big meal. Alrighty, we can see her just up on her basking spot. She's had another explore. She's had a bask. Gonna chuck in some crickets, see if we can get her hunting. Just put my crickets in their calcium powder. Gives her everything she needs. And yeah, hopefully she starts hunting them, and doesn't just run away from me. I got you some food, girly. Oh, there she goes. She's got one in her mouth and she's running away. She's worried I'm gonna take it. Chuck a whole heap in. They can start going to hide, getting in those cracks and crevices. She has to flush them out. She's still a little bit weary of me, as you can tell. So I'll just go sit down. I'll let her hunt out those crickets as she pleases. She will take a rat or quail from me tomorrow off the tongue, so we'll get to see her eat there. But there's a couple crickets left. We'll chuck those in for Slash, and she will absolutely nail them. Hey, Slashy. Guys, I've just come home from being out, and you're not gonna believe where she's sleeping. I'm absolutely stoked. I wanted this to be a place that she utilised. I hadn't seen her go in there yet today, but she's gone in there now. Have a look at this. How cool is that? Not just cool, but super interesting. She's using the vertical hollow log to sleep, which shows exactly what they do in the wild. They'll find an old tree with hollowed out timbers, hollowed out branches. They'll sleep that way, that way, that way, that way, whatever way they can get in, whatever way they feel tight, safe, snug and secure. Oh, that is so cool to see. So next day, guys, I've just thawed out some quails. Our little Lacey, he was just basking up in his basking spot, and he saw me. He was probably there for a while, and I walked past, and he zipped back down to his log. He's been sleeping in there, super cool. He climbs right down, curls up in the bottom, and I woke up this morning at the same time the lights come on, and he was just slowly clambering back up that hollow log, up onto his basking spot. I'm gonna see if I can entice him out with the quails. He's a bit funny with food. He'll take it and then he'll try to run somewhere and hide somewhere and gobble it down away from me, and then he'll come back for the next one. I wouldn't be surprised if he even takes the quail, disappears back down into the hole. We'll see what happens. there you go, down the hatch, like a bull out of a gate that time. He got the taste of that first quail. He knew as soon as he saw that next one, he knew what he was gonna wrap his little lips around. Bang, straight out the top of the log, smashed it. How cool is that? He'll get more and more confident with me as time goes on, as weeks goes on. He already is, he's already taking food from the tongs quite gently. He's up, he basks, he looks at me. Confidence will come with time, and he can be my best little buddy. He's looking at me like he wants a third one. I honestly reckon he'll take a third one. I'm gonna save the third one for the sand monitor. Otherwise we'll end up with a massive garbage guts, which I think we're going to anyway. Maybe 2 or 3 more days, I'll give him a wrap. I'll see if we can get him to chase it around the enclosure a bit more. I'll see you with some different prey items. Alright guys, so it's been a few days since I fed our lace monitor our quails. So that's a fantastic food source for these guys. Exactly what they'd be eating out in the wild. Climbing trees, getting into hollows, finding birds' nests, eating eggs, baby birds, and birds themselves. So it's been a few days, so I've got just some small mice, which is gonna be similar to marsupials, mammals, and rodents that this guy would eat in the wild. So he's still been hanging out in his log. He's gone down deeper while I'm standing here. We'll see if we can entice him out and get him to come out a bit further than he did with the quails. See how obsessed he is with this log. He's just disappearing back down to eat his food to make sure no one gets it off him. I mean, the way he's using that log's exactly how I intended, exactly how I wanted him to use it, so I can't complain. I would like to see him more, but in the next month or so, he'll be a lot more comfortable and he'll be coming out a lot more than he is now. I hope you've enjoyed, I hope you've learned a little something, and hopefully you've got some inspiration. If you guys enjoy this video, let me know. I'd love to get another video out for this guy in another few weeks, another month or so. Show you guys how he's growing, how he's going, how he's feeding, how much more confident he'll be becoming with me. So if that's something you guys want to see, please let me know. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.